Hello there, and welcome to another of Andre's Artist Profiles. This is going to be a very interesting artist profile in that this artist was actually very famous as a solo singer-musician, but is actually much more of a musician's musician than a lot of people would like to think. And as such, he is probably famous for kind of the wrong reason, that, he didn't get the recognition that he deserved. A lot of musicians end up becoming popular due to making a big public spectacle about the fact that they were not recognized for their talents, which I'm personally not into that, but Bobby Womack has never played into that too much. Now, I should point out that a couple years ago, Bobby Womack made a comeback album called The Bravest Man in the Universe, which I didn't buy because, frankly, I didn't feel it was a very consistent album. It's now out of print, but it really honestly wasn't one of his best or most even. But I have a number of Bobby Womack albums that I'm going to share with you now. It may look like a thin group, but it actually isn't. This album is called Communication. It's an excellent, really strong and gutsy, soul funk album with that wonderful jazzy slickness that Bobby Womack had in his music. And I should note, gutsy does not necessarily mean from the guts. I don't like condescending to soul funk artists in that way. But anyhow, this album originally came out in 1971. It's from his peak years. This is a Right Stuff reissue. If you can find it in any fashion, very much worth it. Bobby Womack at his peak. Now, this is going to take a little bit of explaining. This is a Columbia original album classic series from when he was signed to Columbia Records in the mid to late 1970s, but I'll take each of these albums out individually. They're little thin ones like that, kind of album-size replicas. Home is Where the Heart Is came out in 1976. This is very much like early Bobby Womack albums. I should note that Bobby Womack in 1976 was famous among musicians for writing the original version of George Benson's song, Breezin'. It's one of the few instrumentals Womack actually composed, and a lot of people who know George Benson don't realize that Bobby Womack composed it. I hope a lot of them do, but some of them might not. The next album he did was called Pieces. This one actually had some pretty hard funk on it. This one came out in 1978. The next album was called Roads of Life. It's kind of a middle ground between the two of them. Now, somewhat more Philly influenced in parts. There's Bobby right there, due to its place in the, disco era. But these are all really good albums. It shows a great progression in Bobby's sound, actually. Now, Bobby Womack actually made 3 volumes of music under the name of The Poet. This album and his second volume, I don't think the third one was actually released, were put on a double set, but this is the Right Stuff version, which is only the first Poet, from 1981. One of many comebacks he actually made. This album actually had a big hit with If You Think You're Lonely Now. A very Philly influence kind of album this was. Very slick. But there's also, because it came from 1981, there's a lot of boogie funk synth influences on this album too. He was one of the artists from his era who was effectively able to modernize his work, which is why I never understood why he didn't get the recognition he deserved. Maybe because he always was more of a musician's musician. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I have for Bobby Womack. He's celebrating his 70th birthday today, and I wish him a very happy one. Hope to hear from you again sometime in the future. Your music is invaluable and very unsung, I should say, but that's not the reason why he should be appreciated. Thank you very much. This is Andres telling everybody to enjoy your music, and see you next time.